One of the highlights of convention is the introduction of the new president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. It's a big job, and the person leading the way this year is Kester of California. Let's take a closer look at what life is like back home for Kevin and his family.
Bear Valley Ranch is located in the rolling hills and valleys of California's Central Coast. Kevin Kester's roots run deep in this part of the state. His family has lived and worked on this land for more than 150 years.
My family's been ranching in the Parkfield Valley here since 1867. I represent the 5th generation of our family to ranch here. And I'm proud to say we have a couple of grandkids now that represent the 7th generation. So we've been here a long time. Our operation consists of a commercial cow-calf operation, Angus-based, and we also have a stalker where we go out and buy calves, bring them to the ranch and grow them up the feedlot size and put them in a feedlot. And in addition, we've diversified over the last 20 years into some wine grape vineyards too.
This part of California has a moderate climate, which means the Kesters are able to keep their cattle on pasture for most of the year.
I can honestly say that the Central Coast of California does provide a great climate for raising cattle. We get warm summers with low humidities. We might get an inch of snow once or twice maybe during the winter, so our climate is great.
Kevin and his wife June have 3 kids who are all involved in the operation. That support will be vital in the coming year because Kevin expects to spend around 300 days on the road as NCBA president.
I'm very fortunate and thankful that I've got a strong family behind me to look after the operation here. And so my wife June and daughter Kayleen, son Cody, and daughter Kara, she's still at college, but when she's home in the summertime, do a lot of the work on the ranch in my absence. And so that's what's allowed me to give back to the industry, which we love, because my family has my back.
Kevin has been a leader in the California cattle industry for several years and is a past president of the California Cattlemen's Association. Now he steps into the role of president of NCBA, representing producers across the country.
I look forward to traveling across the country as NCBA president and meeting fellow cattlemen and in all sectors, all across the country. I learned so much by talking to fellow ranchers and farmers and getting to hear their perspective from their parts of the country. It's really eye-opening and it's really beneficial to have an understanding. Just like when we encourage agency folks to come and visit us, I think it's really good for NCBA officers to be around the country listening to the input from our members.
While with NCBA, Kevin has served in a number of roles, including as chairman of the Joint International Markets Committee. This knowledge of the cattle industry, both in the U.S. and internationally, will be a huge advantage as cattle producers look to open more foreign markets for U.S. beef.
We need to ramp up our trade, get our export markets increasing more than they are right now, because we have a big supply of protein across all sectors, and our trade is what's going to keep us healthy financially into the future. And so I'm really going to focus on these trade issues to try to keep us sustainable.
California is one of the country's most regulated states, so Kevin is sensitive to the impact that over-regulation by the government can have on a cattle operation's bottom line.
The biggest threats to the beef industry is over-regulation. That's the number one thing that keeps me awake at night. Every bureaucrat has their area of responsibility that they're focused on without much regard to all the other entities that are doing the same thing. So you add them all up, and the cost of compliance for all these multi-layer of regulations will be the first thing that'll put most of us out of business.
Another priority for Kevin as president is growing NCBA membership. He's a believer in the value of cattlemen joining together to accomplish shared goals.
If more cattlemen become engaged in the process, that is a win-win for individuals and as a whole. I just can't overstress how important it is to be engaged and be a part of the process in whatever manner you can take the time to do so. People can be surprised and are surprised that your voice actually can make a huge difference. I was surprised years ago, my first trips to Washington, D.C., and I met with local congressmen and senators and started having interaction, and then carrying proposed policies from our local levels up through our state to the national level. One person can make a difference. I can testify wholeheartedly that one voice can truly make a difference, and so that's why I always encourage everybody, do what you can, participate, be part of the solution, and it will pay dividends for the industry.
Kevin Kester is serious about fighting for the nation's cattle producers, and he'll spend each day as NCBA president working to protect and enhance the business and political climate for all members of the U.S. beef cattle industry.
As corny as it sounds, but it's very true, and I say this all the time, I want to give back to the industry which has provided 130 years or more of keeping my family in business here in California and ranching. And so I truly want to give back to the industry in order not only for my future generations, but for everybody's future generations to have the opportunity to stay in business.